In today's episode, entrepreneurs will learn actionable tips to live up to their soul's purpose in all aspects of their lives. From Canada to Costa Rica and America and more, we are around the world today. Casey was recruited into the Amway business when he was 25, and throughout his time there, he grew the business to over 250,000 people in 22 countries. That is the largest network marketing business in the history of Canada. He has since spoken on stages all over the world, and after some self-reflection, he realized his true purpose lies in teaching others. He has founded 3 organizations that represent his contributions to the world, and we're going to learn about that in just a bit. But before we get started, we're going to learn how he podcasts. Casey, which platform do you stream your podcast shows through?
It's Apple. It's podcasts.
I Apple as well. I have it right on my phone, Apple computer. They've got me on a whole bunch of spots. But when do you find yourself listening to podcast shows throughout the day?
Yeah. So in the drive morning, also shower routine, critical. And then if the day permits, a great way to wind down, but it's usually not a hard topic. It's a soft topic.
I like that as well. So you said in the shower usually, so it's on a head, it's on a speaker.
Any part of the routine, like, so for example, when I go into the bathroom routine, phone launches to the Bluetooth speaker, blasting in the whole bathroom. My wife thinks I'm nuts, but that's what I do, because it's like, to me, that's time where I'm going to stand in contemplation and, shaving, showering, all that stuff. It's not, if you've done it as many times as I have, you don't need help. So it's like, so I use that as edutainment, right?
Making the most of your time. And another good point you started there is morning routine. Everybody has a different one, but it is so essential. And as I am young, still in my journey, the morning routine is everything for me. It will make or break my day, how that morning goes. And with that, I like it right there. He's holding up the 5 a.m. club as we video chat for this recording. Yeah. I would like to welcome you all back to That Entrepreneur Show. I am your host, Vincent A. Lancy. You can learn more about me at Vincent A. Lancy for all social media platforms, YouTube, or my website, vincentalancy.com. For those new to the show, each week since December 2019, I have had the opportunity to interview a founder of a company or brand to share what has worked for them, what they needed to improve on, and all of their learning lessons along the way right here on this show. There are also a lot of bonus episodes for you to enjoy, including Rewind the Clock episodes, where I bring back past guests who are making headlines again, and the Gasparilla Overloads, where we bring on Florida entrepreneurs to share their journeys. You never know which motivational journey is going to inspire you most. Today's guest established his 3rd business, Human Potential International, to help other entrepreneurs create the life they desire by using the Ultimate Life Map Guidance System, which is a tool he uses to show clients where their strengths and weaknesses are. His passion throughout it all has been to empower those who cross his path to achieve their true potential, which he does now through teaching the Ultimate Life Map Guidance System. He will also share many experiences and lessons learned from his first organization, InterBiz Business System. This is where he had a team of 250,000 sales associates in 22 countries that believed in free enterprise and the pursuit of their dreams, using the Amway Corporation as their business vehicle. Of course, the second organization, Next Level Networker, a training and teaching organization that empowered network marketers to optimize their skills and develop a successful, sustainable business network. He's got a lot to offer. We're about to learn it all. Casey Combden. Casey, thank you for stopping by the show.
My pleasure, my friend. Great to be here.
Would you mind introducing yourself to our audience on the personal side, and then we'll dive into business talk?
Sure. My name is Casey James Combden. I've been around for 57 years on the planet, a father of 6, and I've been just been blessed to experience a lot of life. When I was a really young kid, I was actually recruited by a pastor to say, hey, how do you bring kids into the church? I'm like, that's easy. Have a dance, play music. He goes, good. Who's going to do that? I said, I guess I will. 2 years later, 15 years old, I had 200 people in the basement packed out, 600 people waiting outside, police, fire, and they were locking me down. So That's what happened at 13 to 15. So that gives you a sense of what I'm kind of like in the head. I just see things big all the time. I then got into the nightclub business, became the top DJ, ran 40 DJs, hit the top of the game. I was running the biggest nightclub, large organization. And at 25, I hit the wall mentally, emotionally. If I heard Madonna one more time, I was like, I kill myself. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Sold everything, packed it up in the back of my car, drove to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, sold slicer dicers at the swap shop. It slices and dices, but no. And then I actually ended up, I got recruited to the Amway business, met my first mentor. He said, Casey, says, I can help you hit your dreams and goals. What is that? I said, to make $100,000 a year. This is 30 years ago, Vincent. $100,000 a year is big money back then. And he says, I can help you do that. It'll take 5 years. I need your commitment. And I said, absolutely. 4 years later, he lied to me, and I wasn't making $100,000 a year. I was making $100,000 a month. And at 30, I was making $200,000 a month. At 31, I was making $500,000 a month. I learned how to I'd learned how to become a student of a mentor and a system that completely revolutionized my life. I learned the concept of duplication and franchising. It just blew my mind. And
I'm looking forward to learning that. You're an entrepreneur from a young age. We're talking 13, 15. At times, I've heard a few, which including myself, have the iced tea stands, the lemonade stands, but not to that extent where we're working with the local churches to make.
Is that crazy? Is that the craziest?
It's unbelievable. I think it's a good intro to what we can expect today. We know you've been on an entrepreneurial journey for a while, Casey. You founded 3 companies plus a million other ventures, including the little church business here. Can you please share what that moment was? Maybe it was with the mentor where you said, I'm not going to a 9-to-5. I'm doing my own thing.
It's funny. I actually, I never thought of a 9-to-5. It never occurred to me. In fact, one of the things that, school builds people to think 9-to-5, right? They think employment. I'm a massive fan of Robert Kiyosaki's, cash flow quadrant. And when I actually met and spoke with Robert, 1996, he actually got his book, Cash Flow Quadrant, which is now world renowned, was nothing. It sold no copies, was sitting in a gas station at a car wash. He had made 100 copies. He was just giving them away. And an Amway distributor found that book and passed it up and said, here's a concept that teaches people the only 4 ways people make money on the earth. You're employed, self-employed, business owner, investor. And that actually was the breakthrough. When we actually saw that book for the first time, and I happened to be there the day that we actually, the New Orleans Saints Dome, there were 65,000 people there. I was actually there responsible for helping Robert get in. I was his host, hosted him into the event. He looked at the audience and went, are you freaking kidding me? There's 65,000 people here. And it blew his mind. But that's where we actually, there's a connection there, right? There's a reason why certain people get to certain levels of success. It's because they're open to the possibility that they could be wrong. That I cannot, if you did said only one concept that people take away from today is, are you open to the possibility that the way you think about what you think about is actually not serving you, that you're actually wrong, and that the limitation isn't actually you, it's the thought you have that's actually the limitation.
I'm taking that note right now because that's something I want to reiterate when the show comes out, and I reshare this, is the way you think not serving you. Is that what it is? Is it your mindset? And as we know, mindset is everything. Confidence in our lives, you name it. We have to feed ourselves the right thoughts to produce the right results.
I'll even take you farther. I'm not even sure it's mindset. Someone asked me the other day, they said, I have a business problem. Can you help me fix my business problem? I said, no. And they were, what? I said, no, I don't fix business problems. I said, I fix the thinking that created the problem. See, mindset is more of an attitude and a state, where thinking is critical. In the book Good to Great, Vincent, there's 7 principles of the greatest companies who ever existed in the history of the earth. 6,000 companies on the stock exchange in the United States. The book is by Jim Collins, and he said this: the first principle of all success in a great company is first who, then what. First who, find out who you're working with, you get them on the bus, you get them in the right order, you kick the wrong people off the bus, you get the bus and you push in a direction. With the right people, anything's accomplishable. But here's the second part. The second concept is brutal facts. Nobody wants to have a conversation about the fact that shit don't work. Like, and I have a quote that I always use. I said, the physical universe doesn't lie. You don't rise to the level of your expectations. You fall to the level of your thinking and your training. And you can measure the training by the skills that you have that are producing results. If you're not getting what you want, there's nothing wrong with the business.
You are blowing my mind right now because you're bringing the value from so many angles right away. You have to take all of that into consideration, and you're expanding my audience's mind as well. Your big picture thinking is really coming down to us right here in only the first discussion point. But we have to ask you, what do you find challenging about being an entrepreneur?
My own thinking. I would be bigger if I thought better. That's why I surround myself in the trifecta of success. The trifecta of entrepreneurial success is three things. It's three persons. The first person is you must have a mentor. If you do not have a person that you are mentoring or coaching with, that you're taking vision, direction, insight from, then you are your enemy. The purpose of mentorship is two things, Vincent. Number one, a mentor sees your enemies before you do, right? That's the thing. And a mentor is a time accelerator. Like, you can't look at me and say, hey, Casey, how did you make $100,000 a month at 29? I can't look at you, Vincent, and say, hey, I'm all that in a bag of chips. I'm the smartest guy. Are you kidding me? I'm an idiot. I'm a punk. I'm a DJ at a bar. And I meet a mentor who sits me down and he says, hey, God gave you 2 ears, 1 mouth. You need to use them in the right proportion. You talk twice as much as you listen. That's why you're failing. And at 25, long hair, mustache, shaved every 4 days, big guy. I'm the DJ at the club and all that. And then I'm like, this guy slaps me and just like, boom, boom. And I'm like, wow, like, are you kidding me? And that's like, I'd never had a man step up in masculine compassion, say, hey, how you think is what's killing you. What you think, how you think, your attitude. This is the challenge. It's not that you don't have drive and energy and all this stuff. It says your limitation is you only know what you know. He said, you don't know what you don't know. That's why you don't have. Because if you knew what you knew, you'd have. Because to know it and not to do it is not to know.
Very well said. Keep broadening your horizons, keep learning, keep asking questions, keep finding ways to grow, because the more you know, the more successful at the end of the road you just may be. Throughout your career here, Casey, what would you say one of your greatest lessons learned is?
That without the trifecta of success, which is, by the way, a mentor, a peer partner, and a student. You need to have all three in your life. A mentor is someone you're taking direction and leadership from. A peer partner is someone that's a running equal, sometimes a competitor, but not usually. You may be competing in the same space, but you're there to share and you're kibitzing, right? It's that you're in the grind together and you're sharing each other. But the magic of all success is teaching what you know to others to see if it actually works, right? And that's, so the biggest challenge I always keep running up against is that if I actually know, to know and not to do is not to know. And if I can't teach it, then I can't duplicate it. Therefore, I actually don't own the skill. I think I own the skill, so I'm in my own illusion. So that's why it's like, people ask me, why am I failing my business? It's really simple. You are in your own way because you are too arrogant or don't have your ego is out of place with your actual need. Your need to be right is greater than your need to be rich.
Similarly, too, it's like you could read all of the books you want, but if you don't utilize the information in that book, if you don't use the knowledge that you just learned, you didn't read the book.
Yeah.
What's the point of the book?
The biggest thing I've had people listening all the time and they're going through all this stuff. It's like, I always tell people there's a difference between content and context. Most people are just thinking the secret to life is more content. Like, it's like water, right? But if you get a glass and you fill the glass up and there's the glass is already full with water, getting another gallon of water and pouring it into the glass doesn't make a difference. The real issue, Vincent, is that people need to get a larger glass, not more water. And the more YouTubes you listen to, and the more podcasts you listen to, and the more stuff you listen to, it's just pouring water on water, which is already, you can never be greater than that's what you are. Everywhere you go, there you are. That's the problem. So instead of actually asking for more content, ask for a bigger glass. How do I actually see the world through a bigger lens? How do I actually get my world into a greater space where I actually realized how much I don't know. And that's actually what happened to me. That happened to me in 2005 when I discovered the life map. When I was sitting, I'd paid at that point by 2005, I'd paid almost $1 million in teaching, training, seminars, coaching. I was flying all over the world. Of course, I could afford it at that time. And I was on it, man. I had just gone through a really bitter divorce, and I had my company cut in half because of the divorce. And I had all these challenges going on. And my mentor came up to me, he says, "Casey, I love you." He said, "But you're the problem." He said, "I love you, man. You make $500,000 a month. You're all that in a bag of chips, and you're a breadbasket of stupid." He says, "Money doesn't mean that you're smart. Money means that you won at one section of the game." He says, "You need to look at your whole life." He says, "Because your life is a shit show of failure. Can you not see that?" And again, when you're, I'm all that, man. Like you really have this, like, there's a part of me that's just an ego like the rest of us, but it's like, there's a part of me that goes, I know privately in the back of my mind, I'm a failure in a lot of areas. And it was a recognition of that. And I went and got the mentorship. And I finally realized, I went to all these seminars, and it was there I realized continuing to get more water, but not actually taking action in all of the areas of my life was my failure. I kept filling up the glass of how do I have more success in business? And the problem was I didn't need more success in business. Clearly, I was making good money in my business. My problem is the glass for my relationships, my mental health, my emotional health, my physical health, my spiritual life. They were empty. They couldn't even find a drop in those glasses. And I was failing everywhere. And so I found the life map based on the 10 areas of life and said, if I can get these glasses to start filling up, then I'll experience success.
And money only means you won at one part of the game. I like the way you put that, because in a different way, my whole life, I went to school for finance, MBA. I wanted just the corner office title at the end of the road, you name it. And then when I got my first taste at decent money in the role, it just was the furthest thing from what I wanted. The other part of my life was not filled. I was not in the best frame of mind. I was commuting 2.5 hours a day in that Long Island traffic, the 2 lanes on the highway. Now I'm down here in Tampa, wider highways, of course, but I'm also working from home most of the time. Thank you for sharing that input. And at the end of the day, it was still broadening your horizons. Keep learning. When obstacles get in your way, a divorce, he found ways to just level up and just thrive even harder. Investing in himself, another evidence of that, where he's going to seminars, coaching centers, you name it. And of course, he's shedding light on mentors. Big shout out to my mentors, Rod, Lee. I appreciate you both very much. Now I want to ask you, Casey, if you could sit down with any entrepreneur to learn from, dead or alive, who would you choose?
So I thought about that question a lot, and because it actually took me a week to come up with the answer. And the answer is Benjamin Franklin.
Love it.
And most people don't know about Benjamin Franklin he was an incredible world-class entrepreneur. He was also an inventor, but his businesses were like, he was a business magnate. But you know what's interesting was, it wasn't about his skill, it was about his character. Benjamin Franklin was infamous for his character, because he wrote a book called the Book of Virtues, which is 13 virtues that he believed that need to be practiced every week. So every week he grabbed the virtue of, let's say, for example, humility was one of the virtues. And the entire week, this unconscious focus of that week was dedicated to humility, right? And then he'd go to the next virtue and the next virtue. And at the end of 13 weeks, he'd go back to the first virtue. At the end of 26, right? So he did every year, 52 weeks of the year, he would rotate the 13 virtues to build a person of character. Because competence, you've seen people who are mechanically successful, but they're a failure as a human. They believe that hurting other people for profit is actually a good thing. In fact, they teach it. I've watched YouTubes of people. I'm like, wow, this person is deeply disturbed. they one day will to them what happened to me, where they wake up and go, wow, all of that for money? Yeah, that's not good. And that's okay. Like, everybody's got a journey, no judgment, wish them all the best. But one day when they hit the wall and wake up that all they did was take their part of the water, take their part of the air, take their part of taking, instead of realizing it's like, dude, we're all in this together. Like, it's called humanity. It's not about your taking your piece of the earth, So I realized that was the thing I admired the most about my research and studying of Benjamin Franklin. And this was many, many years ago. My mentor would pound character over competence. The book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the subtext of that book is character over competence. Competence is a byproduct of character. Competence without character is a formula for failure, long-term.
I love that. You have to really be true to who you are. Your character is everything. People I associate with in business, I gravitate towards people who do the right thing, who also have philanthropic ties one way or the other. And that's important to me. I've had opportunities to even sponsor this show that we're on that just weren't a good fit. And as a solopreneur, money is king sometimes, but I don't want to get myself into a situation that's not mutually beneficial. Makes sense for me, makes sense for our listeners. For example, on a mental health break, we've had Tampa Counseling and Wellness here in Tampa. That's been a great fit. People who have heard the show have reached out. So that means a lot to me that people, it's the right audience. So that's something I'm striving for. But I want to hear what you're striving for, Casey. We know you're on your 3rd official founded company. That is, I want to hear what's next for you. Is it more with this business? Is there something new? Please share.
So it's funny. Like InterBiz was the name of our brand where we built the Amway business. After InterBiz, I actually founded over 30 plus companies. In that journey, my mentor asked me a question in 2015. She said, if you died today, what would you left other than real estate, stocks, bonds, and liquid assets and that kind of thing? And I said, wow, I guess I wouldn't have left very much because I'd left the networking industry. So I founded Next Level Networker, which was a legacy of the original system. But because I went into personal, mental, emotional, and spiritual crisis in 2010, when I went into all the challenges I had, by 2012, I was coming out of that through all these new awarenesses as being certified in all these new technologies and human behavior stuff. And that's what I found a deep passion for. What I found out was I actually wasn't that great at network marketing. I was just really, really deeply interested in helping people. And so as a byproduct of that, the character of helping others was that people, the reciprocity was like, oh, we're all in together, man. We built this culture. So in 2012, I founded Human Potential International, which was the give back. It's the passion project where I actually am introducing a revolutionary coaching model of reciprocity, which is actually, I mentor people for free on the reciprocity of if I'm all that in a bag of chips as a mentor, and you can produce results, then we share the compensation equally. And it's a give first, receive second model. And that I'm very passionate about. And then of course, we've got the life map itself is the technology and all this thing. So that's my passion project.
I look forward to learning more about that after this episode. I think we also have a sneak peek for today's guest to be on some other platforms, a mental health break for what he's gone through, perhaps writing with authors. He's got a lot going on, and we're going to keep learning more from Casey right here. As you know, if it is not your first time, it is time for the Spotlight Story, where each week I share the entrepreneurial journey of another business founder. And as we have a guest who makes some serious noise out in Canada, we're going to have the Blackberry founder talked about right now. Since 2003, when it was released, it was very popular for business users because of its features like the thumb-friendly keyboard, the wireless email, the IM app, and this is all pre-iPhone. So
old people stuff.
Yeah, I had one as well. Even though Apple seemed to have taken their place at the top, they still were one of the pioneers in this industry. He was a student at Canada University, Waterloo in 1984. And Lazaridis, he founded Research in Motion, the company that developed and manufactures the Blackberry line of devices. There's some questions here with the entrepreneur interview on the website. They asked, looking back, what helped you the most in breaking through in the technology business? He said, we gave people something that they not only wanted, but discovered they needed. The Blackberry literally changed the way people communicated. I'll share one more. When did you know you've made the leap from small time to big time? The market told us. We began to realize that we had not just created a new phone, but we created a new industry. We knew that we had made the leap when the Blackberry went global. Casey, what do you like about this story? Perhaps something else being from Canada as well.
The thing, and I'm grateful that, every once in a while a Canadian puts the flag in the ground and goes, yay.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things that I love most about this story is that he didn't, if you really dig back he actually had a passion for getting people to be connected. And I say, but he tripped across it, right? I think sometimes you're seeking something. And if you're seeking something that makes a contribution, that's actually the key. Entrepreneurship is about taking a risk and pushing something forward that can be of contribution to humanity, people, a business, a resource of some sort. And so he did that clearly.
I'm trying to leave a little legacy like that every step of the way I go, even though I'm just still young in the journey, just turned 30. We do have the 4 books already out, and that's something that is for good. And probably the bigger my brand gets, the more reach those books will have. I don't think they've even really scratched the surface yet. They're just doing this thing. But thank you for your analysis on that. And thank you so much, Casey, for joining our community of entrepreneurs. I was glad you reached out. Some of the things I really enjoyed today were that you opened up our minds to being open to possibility. Is it the way you think, not serving you? I think that's key. The trifecta of success, the mentor, the peer partner, these are all things that I live by as well. I want to now stop to ask you for your last word.
I'm just, I'm very grateful for people like you, Vincent. Been through challenges, you've overcome them, you're staying true to yourself. And like, if people ask me one question about entrepreneurship, I said, just challenge yourself to stay true. And when the money gets bigger, and in my case, I've had a point in my life, I was worth $435 million because I was a 43% owner in $1 billion mining project, but it was in coal. And then I remember my wife saying to me, "That's interesting. Your wealth is founded in a product that kind of destroys the earth. How do you feel about that?" I'm like, "I feel rich." But it was pretty shallow at the time, And then I ended up being in divorce and all these other things. And I had to reevaluate my true values and say, you know what? Like, the next time I get tempted by another $1 billion idea, I have to stay true to myself. And I did. As time has gone on, I've been exposed to all kinds of things. And today I'm really proud of myself. I'm older, and I've been hurt a lot, Vincent. And I think that's what wisdom is. You get hurt enough where you actually pay attention. Either pay attention or you pay with pain. So
we all go through a lot.
You're paying.
Remember to pat yourself on the back for how far you have all come. Everyone listening on, if you're listening to this podcast, you're taking a step in the right direction to level up your mindset, your business, whatever you're passionate about. Now, Casey, where can we find you? Email, website, social, you name it.
Yeah, just right now, we're at the infancy of rebuilding the company at humanpotentialinternational.com. And our goal, I've brought the right people around me to slow down, to speed up. And that's, and it's interesting because we're part of this podcast early in our journey, because we're going to build a reciprocity model of giving. And we're really excited about that. Yeah.
So in the meantime, look him up on LinkedIn. If you have any questions about today's show, he is here to help. And we are at That Entrepreneur Show on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. But on Twitter, we are at Podcast by Lancey because of that character limit. But at least you get updates from all of the shows. My handles are at Vincent A. Lancey for all social media, YouTube, and my website is vincentalancey.com. It's time for the quote to end the show. And this one is from today's Spotlight Entrepreneur when asked, what, in your opinion, makes a tech company great? It's not all that different from what makes any company great. It starts with people. A tech company must have visionary leadership that can attract and inspire dedicated employees who believe in the company's destiny and want to play a role in its success. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you next week on That Entrepreneur Show. Casey, thanks for stopping by.
My pleasure, Vincent.